You know, I was watching that super movie, 84 Charring Cross Road, a great story about literature and the more important relationships of love and care that can be built around books, around words even. And I really like that movie. It's tinged with the cheeky humour of Mel Brooks and played out by the typewriter antics of Bancroft, his wife. How did she and even he and this script ever get together? I'm glad they did, though. I think it was all those table-laid-out leather-bound books in the antiquarian bookshop that took me back to 1980 in Matlock Bath, Derbyshire, where as a Bible college student, along with others, I was invited into an old hall where a now dead pastor's library, having been donated to the Bible Training Institute, was laid out on the table, and it seemed the very bowels of his former love lay strewn along the formica tops, like an autopsy performed by a madman or a clown on drugs. Even so, I was hungry for his dead entrails, and I still am, really. I love and I hunger for good Bible commentaries. But in my country, and in this increasingly digitized and video-driven world, I find myself increasingly alone in that hunger. This performance piece covers a range of subjects, from the love of theological books, the worship of God, and the suffering of the pastor's wife, wrong priorities in ministry maybe, and maybe some of the greater priorities of ministry and worship as well. Anyway, I hope you like it. Suddenly a hand touched me, which made me tremble on my knees and on the palms of my hands. Daniel 10:10. This poem is called Palms Down. I remember the damp, white, plastered, gold and gilded room, and the book-packed, bow-legged trestle tables overlaid with words. The lions and the tigers of the faculty had already sliced off the sirloins of their own selection, and now we, the poor hyenas of hermeneutic, were left to crawl over the carcass. It felt like being a cockroach on the corpse of a fallen soldier, an unknown comrade, and unbuttoning his battle tunic top and reaching into the inside holy pockets and pulling out pictures of his beloved children and his wife, all covered in blood. Yes, I remember. All the books were covered in blood. You can have as many as you want. Just make a donation for his widow, they said. All that tea, I thought. All that tea and Jaffa cakes, served faithfully from a rose-patterned black enamelled tin tray to other black-shoed and tight-lipped ministers of religion, and women sniffling up the tears among his books, where for years his widow, his helpmeet, his poor confidant and washer of his feet, his camel-kneed prayer partner, his widow, now left in grey and waiting loneliness, and like his books, all neatly laid out by the Bible College fishmongers, had also been left abandoned. I can still smell those full and filleted pages, you know, even today, and as my own time now races on and thinking I'll probably pip her at the post, I muse about this sad and sallow-cheeked widow. I figured that she did not miss his children, neither will mine, for she had, over the years, been jealous of the attention he had heaped upon them, no doubt. After all, he had touched them more than her, and tenderly, so tenderly. I noted that, unlike me, he never left a mark on his kids, but occasionally, though, I would find an old note pressed between the leaves, an address, a receipt for 4 shillings and 6pence, some sermon points in blue ink, spent cartridges of shots long since fired. After 30 years and much more than 30 addresses, I've given away many of my own children now, for they were too expensive to take with us, and in the cold recession, this greater depression of today, my own library has shrunk. And so, like the so-called liberated across my nation, the fertility rate of the blood-stained page has also diminished. In ignorance, we die in ignorance. Thus, I have little meat to leave, and fewer still are the hyenas of hermeneutic who would want to pick over them, for they've grown much wiser, standing mostly now on 2 legs, bathing in some flat palm closed eye and gently rocking solitary celestial presence, swaying to the branded bongos of a benefice beauty. And that's sufficient? I've never got it myself, for it looks to me like the selfish pleasuring of the soul, whereas when on my knees over a cup of tea even, my heavily tattooed children always eventually brought me, and it seemed, all the other open-eyed bent-kneed worshippers, to the strange comfort of holy ground, where we'd find ourselves before him, palms down, crawling on all fours. Though my widow shall be poor, my greater concern, God help me, is that my kids won't be taken into care, not even for a small donation. For all the men of that trade, the blacksmiths and the fishmongers, the verbal undertakers and all the lovers of blood-stained paper, have vanished.